Hello guys and welcome back to the Motor Recon podcast. I'm your host Adam. I'm joined again today by Rob. We're going to bit of a special today because next week it is the Goodwood Festival of Speed. So we're going to talk about a few things, what we want to see there, what we're hoping to see there, and then we'll go from there. So we'll start off with yours. Is there anything in particular you really want to see there?
So I'd say that obviously for simplicity's sake we're obviously going to try and keep things to a reasonable amount per company, just because sort of we could be here all day.
Yeah, one per manufacturer. We are aware there's more from each that come in that we definitely want to see. But
I'd say as far as Ferrari's concerned, on my books is the SF90.
Okay, now that is a good choice for me because I do obviously want to see it. I haven't seen one yet. Not many people have.
Yeah.
I hope they bring it. I suspect they will because there's a lot of rumours going around what they are bringing, and I know 3 for sure. But obviously the SF90 is not on there. There's a secret car they're bringing. I think it'll be that.
Well, it would make sense, wouldn't it? Because we have seen it out and about now as well, haven't we? So it is in some sort of rolling state, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd say it's near enough production ready.
The thing I find fascinating about the SF90 is it is like getting a miniature LaFerrari in a lot of ways. As a matter of fact, in an awful lot of ways, it's more advanced than a LaFerrari.
Well, it is. It's a proper plug-in hybrid, unlike the LaFerrari, which has just had the KERS system, didn't it?
Exactly, yeah. So a couple of stats about the new SF90. It's a V8 engine, so obviously it's no longer a V12 like the LaFerrari.
Yeah,
so
it's turbocharged as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, we dropped a few cylinders.
Yeah.
0 to 60 in 2.5 seconds. So still pretty wick off the line. And you're looking at, essentially, it's nearly 1,000
horsepower. Yeah, it's
986-ish,
something like that. That's electric and engine combined.
That's total output.
Yeah, total output. It's near enough 1,000 horsepower. So it's getting up for LaFerrari power. I'm pretty sure it'll be similar weight as well.
Well, as far as the engine configuration or the powertrain configuration is concerned, obviously you've got that V8 motor in there, but you've also got 3 electric motors as well. So you've got 2 located on the front axle and 1 between the engine and the gearbox.
Yeah, so for me, it's obviously it's an advanced setup they've got there.
Yeah.
A lot more so than LaFerrari, but I know obviously that's now a few years old, so you'd expect them to do it.
I find it quite interesting because it shares a lot of styling cues with the F8 Tributor thing and the 488.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. I think all this is basically a souped up F8 in a way.
But I think it's the very best that it can be, and I'm quite interested to see how that sort of reflects in person.
The one thing I'm hoping of that, because they haven't done a UK debut of the F8 yet.
Yeah.
Do you think they will bring that instead of this, because that's technically going to be the sort of more entry level car that they're going to try and move numbers of?
Yeah.
So I don't know. There is a secret car from Ferrari coming. So it could be that.
Yeah.
And I hope it is.
As you say, this is sort of a list of things that we would like to see at Goodwood, and this is something I would definitely like to see. More than the F8 Tributor, to be honest.
Okay. Well, I know there's some other stuff. We'll move quickly on from there because that's fine, 'cause we've got a lot of cars to cover here. So I know one special one for you is the Morgan Plus 6.
Yeah.
And I know why you want to see this. But,
It was recently introduced, obviously, and I've seen a few videos and reviews about it, and it's obviously perked my interest. One of the things I find fascinating is, for those of you that don't know, the Plus 6, obviously, it's a straight 6 engine derived from BMW. So it's the one that, obviously, you find in the Z4. Sort of power outputs are sort of 335 brake horsepower, 0 to 62 in just 4.2 seconds. So it's pretty
not bad.
quick.
It's quite a lightweight car, isn't it? So it's just like it's obviously got wooden frame and a bit of metal combined in to make it a bit stronger.
And obviously we're going to be covering the Supra a little bit more later in the podcast, but I find it quite interesting that obviously this is like the Supra in some respects where it shares some BMW parts. But I think what Morgan have done is they've kept more of their independence with the building of the car.
Yeah.
So if you look at the chassis and the underpinnings, for example, it's still got wood in there, you'll be pleased to hear. Yeah. So it's interesting, isn't it? Because the Supra shares a lot of components with the new Z4.
It does, yeah.
I think this is mainly an engine lift in a lot of ways. I think there's a gearbox sort of, and there's a few other bits and bobs that are lifted as well. Because if you look at the Plus 6's interior, you'll notice that the gear stick selector down there is BMW.
Yeah.
Doesn't quite fit with the rest of the aesthetic of the car, but...
It doesn't, but I know why they've done it. Obviously, they're a tiny company. They don't have the money to be putting millions into sort of all this kind of stuff. So they have to get parts from elsewhere.
Yeah, of course,
I get it. And I quite like to see one myself. I saw a couple of Morgans today and they do look good in the flesh.
But that's the thing, if you look at the interior on them, they have been updated ever so slightly. And from pictures at least, I think they've done a really good job of updating the interior to keep them modern to a certain extent, but sort of
look
but
classic.
it still looks the same. And they've kept those styling cues, and I think that
it's like an old house, isn't it? You put modern plumbings in it,
exactly.
But you still want the aesthetics of the old house.
So I'm really keen to see that in person.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I'm quite excited to see that. One for me in particular, I really, really hope it's there, and I'm pretty sure Pagani UK have dropped a subtle hint that it will be, is the Pagani Fantasma Evo.
Yeah.
Obviously, Pagani are celebrating their 20th anniversary this year, and they are doing a huge event at Festival of Speed. So there'll be probably all sorts of stuff there, but for me, the Fantasma Evo is the one. Yeah. Which for a lot of people, if you don't know, this started out as life as a Zonda F in the UK. And it was sold to a gentleman in Hong Kong who proceeded to crash it, but it had it rebuilt as this Fantasma Evo.
Yeah,
which I think it's pretty baller to do. If you've got the money to do it, he's created his own unique.
Car.
Yeah,
it's his own unique take on it.
And obviously, Pagani do tend to have that rule: is they make the last car of a certain one, and then they just do more and more and more of it.
Yeah.
But given the fact that this was already a Zonda F, it was just converted. Yeah. I think that does actually mean that they didn't build another one, essentially. They've just remodeled an existing car. Mm-hmm. So I think that'll be quite good. Obviously, 7.3 litre V12 engine. They sound absolutely nuts if you've ever heard one in person. That's screaming past.
The power output is still pretty strong. It's over 700 brake horsepower.
It is. It's 730-ish brake and 0 to 60 in like 3.5 seconds.
It's rapid, yeah.
Yeah, I think they look absolutely mad. Obviously, if for those of you who are watching, I will put a picture of the car on screen now. But the sort of the red carbon exterior looks absolutely amazing. If you are listening and you are interested, obviously have a Google of the Fantasma Evo. It is something special.
Where do you stand on the Zonda when compared to the Huayra as far as aesthetics are concerned?
Much better. In all honesty, I'm not a huge fan of the Huayra. The standard Huayra, not so much. The Huayra BC and the Roadster, I think, actually has improved quite a bit.
Yeah.
But the stock Huayra, I'm not really a fan. I know I get a lot of criticism for that, but
I am in your camp on that one. I think the interior on the Huayra, for me personally, is a little bit too sort of fussy and complex as well.
Yeah, I mean,
technology-wise, I mean, it's got active aero. Obviously, you remember the front sort of moving wings on the nose as well.
On a track, obviously with the exclusion of like the Zonda R, which is not road legal anyway.
Yeah,
the Huayra would probably destroy a Zonda. Yeah. It would. It just because it has all the active aero and things like that. But yeah, aesthetically, no, not for me.
I would actually go with you on that one. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll move quickly on from that one. Another one I know you are keen to see is the new Griffith, if they are bringing that there. Yeah,
it has made its debut at a hill climb in the UK at some point, because I have seen YouTube footage of the new Griffith sort of at a car festival. So one would hope that it would actually sort of come to Goodwood.
Now, I have actually personally seen one in person as well.
Yeah.
I'd say it does look great in the flesh. And I do hope they bring it here with like a more production-ready version of it.
Yeah, something closer to what the customer might receive.
Yeah.
I've never seen one, period, in the real sort of world. So I'm very keen to see one in the flesh, purely because from the pictures I think it looks brilliant. Hopefully that'll translate into something that I quite like in person.
And it's someone trying to bring back obviously an iconic British name.
Yeah, exactly.
And that obviously to us being British, and also they used to be made quite close to us, only within like a half an hour drive.
Oh yeah, sure. It's stone's throw away.
Yeah, in Blackpool. So yeah, it's definitely something I'm keen to see again.
Me too.
But obviously a more production-ready version. Another one, I actually do want to see this as well as yourself, but the Rapide AMR from Aston Martin. Obviously, we were discussing this earlier, and we think obviously it's the sort of the last naturally aspirated V12 car that Aston Martin seem to be selling.
Yeah.
Obviously, 603 PS, 630 newton meters of torque from that engine, which is mad. It is a heavy car, but something I'd quite like to have gone for a family car.
I think, and I'm with you as well. I want to see it because it does mark the end of an era for Aston, where obviously from now on you're talking downsizing. You're talking getting rid of internal combustion engines altogether at some point.
Obviously they've done the Rapide E, haven't they?
Exactly. So it's a last hurrah, and obviously I do want to see it for that.
Yeah. Now I've been fortunate enough to see one of these in the flesh as well at Leeds Aston Martin dealer. They had one in there, just happened to go past and saw it, so I popped in to have a look. And they do look great in the flesh, I think. The green and the yellow combination, which most AMR cars are, suits the car. It really does suit the style of the car. So I hope you do get to see one, and I'm sure they will bring it.
Yeah.
And they're definitely going to have the Rapide E there.
I do want to see the Rapide E, of course I do. And I like the Rapide E because they haven't actually met. It's a case of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Yeah. Because as far as the exterior styling is concerned, but it still looked... The Rapide was the first sort of those big four-door saloon sort of sports cars, which we covered in the previous episode.
Yeah, which actually look good.
Yeah, it actually looks like the real deal.
Obviously, we discussed before the Panamera's aged well over time. The new generations of it do look better.
As does the Quattroporte.
For me personally, I think the Porsche is hideous. I don't like it. It's just my personal choice. But the Rapide, I think it looks great.
Exactly.
Absolutely great. It's just a DB9 slightly longer.
Sometimes it takes you a little while to realise that those rear doors are actually there.
Yeah, I saw a couple today and I actually go, is that? Oh no, it is a Rapide.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's credit to their styling team.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think that's actually great. Another couple of cars that we should probably talk about, given what we spoke about last week. Toyota have said that they're going to be bringing a couple of their cars. So they're bringing a sort of a Supra GT4 concept, which I don't know how different it can be from the normal Supra. I'm guessing wing, body kit, slightly more power.
I think, also to comply with GT4 racing specifications, there may be some differences in there as well.
Yeah, Now I've seen, obviously, we've got a picture up on screen here, and I'll put one up for the guys watching. But this does kind of just look like a Supra with a body kit slightly.
Yeah.
But obviously that's all they can do. And they also are bringing the LMP1 winner.
Yes,
which
and
straight from Le Mans, which I know you'd be very interested to see, being a Le Mans fan like you are. Which I think would be great if they do bring... Well, they are bringing those along. They've confirmed it, so...
No, as you say, and I'm always interested in seeing Le Mans winning cars at Goodwood. It's one of the things I love about Goodwood. You get such a... The Goodwood Festival of Speed, for people who haven't been, if you do ever get the opportunity to go, I'd strongly recommend it.
It is, hands down, probably the only one that could kind of compare is Car Week in America.
Yeah.
But that's not like this. Festival of Speed... People obviously race these cars. Like they have 250 GTOs that are like worth 50 million, and they're hooning it up a hill. Like Nick Mason takes his most years, and I respect that, and they're just cruising past.
I like the fact that they have cars from the cutting edge, brand new things that are literally being unveiled at Goodwood.
Like they're doing the debut. There's a lot of world debuts this year.
It goes all the way back to literally the beginning of motoring as well.
Actually does.
So you get a full timeline.
It's not just cars either. It is, I say, it's a festival of speed. So you have your bikes again, from brand new bikes to old bikes.
They've had land speed record.
Yeah, they have land speed record cars. They even have a section for planes. I know some of them are static on the floor, but they usually do have an air show as well going on. Like they had last year, they had Typhoons flying around, which obviously I love. They have even boats. I've seen a few boats there, and they have a rally stage, like a full-on rally stage where the actual cars drive past and you can watch them. They're doing proper rally racing.
Yeah.
What other car show do you get to do that?
It's very interactive in a lot of ways, yeah.
Yeah, they have stopped the moving motor show now for obvious reasons because people kept getting run over. Yeah. But that's a whole other matter. So we'll move quickly on. This one's for you, so I'll let you introduce this one you really want to see.
So obviously McLaren are always on the mind for if you want to see things at Goodwood.
Yeah, they usually always reveal something new.
Exactly, yeah. And obviously we're trying to whittle it down to one thing in particular we really wanted to see, and for me it's the new McLaren GT, because it's something slightly different to the brief of what the other cars might be necessarily filling in McLaren's lineup.
Yeah, this is more sort of your cruising car rival, maybe your DB11 or your Bentley Continental.
You say that because it's still got the McLaren 4-litre twin turbocharged V8. In this iteration it's kicking out 620 horsepower. The car weighs just 1,530 kilograms.
Yeah, it's significantly lighter than its rivals, and it, again, top speed of 203 miles an hour.
And obviously, it's one of the only GT cars out there that's mid-engined as well.
Yeah.
So I think that...
However, huge boot in the back.
Exactly. If you were to sort of put the GT cars that are available to you on, say, a sliding scale of most sporty to least sporty, while still being a GT car in its ethos and design, this would go on to the sportier end of the scale,
I think
it?
this, and obviously it's in a sort of a next level a bit up from a 911, but the basic 911s are sort of quite good GT cars. They've got decent boot space. They're relatively comfortable. They're quite practical and narrow. Obviously, this is a different price bracket, and again, speed-wise and power-wise, it's quite a lot higher. But I think it's on the sportier end of a 911 compared to a Continental or a DB11.
Sure, yeah, exactly. If you put it up against the Conti and you realise that although the Conti can shift for its weight,
it can round corners as well.
It's no match for something like this.
No, this would destroy it.
Yeah.
But I've seen a few videos. Obviously, I just mentioned it was on Vehicle Virgin's channel. McLaren gave him one. He couldn't drive it; he just had to have it on his drive because obviously it's not ready yet.
Yeah.
But he was demonstrating the boot space on this and what you can actually fit in it.
Okay.
And he got 2 full golf bags. What do you call it? Golf bags in the back.
Yeah.
Loads of other stuff in the front. Like he also showed you how many suitcases you can fit in. It is surprising in such a small package what you can get in.
Yeah.
So as a GT car goes, for long road trips, you'll definitely not run out of space for luggage.
And again, this is one of the ones that I haven't obviously seen in sort of person yet. So I'm very keen to see how the styling translates from the screen to the real life. So yeah, as far as McLaren's concerned, that is the thing I want to see most from them.
Well, I had a chance to see one of these today. Well, 2 of these today, but I purposely didn't because I want to save it for Festival of Speed.
Yeah.
So we can see it together and have a proper look at it and get our first reactions kind of thing.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. That I did save you that one. So we'll move on to a slightly different topic this time. Obviously because this one is Goodwood is a hill climb.
Yes.
For those people who don't go. And I've just accidentally closed the tabs, so I'll just get those back up. But we sort of wanted to discuss cars that we would actually like to take on the hill climb.
Yeah.
Now, if you don't mind, I will do mine first because I really, really, really wanted to take up the BAC Mono.
Yeah, and as you say, it is one of those cars where it really does, it looks like, and I imagine it feels like, a racing car for the road in a lot of ways.
Single-seater in the middle, obviously.
Yeah.
It's pretty open. I know it has obviously mud guards and things, it has to be road legal, but it's near enough open wheel. You've got your air intake above your head, you've got the spoiler, it's very lightweight.
It's the real deal.
It is a proper thing, and to be fair, I've seen people driving them and it grips onto, it actually did keep up with the Senna on a track.
That doesn't surprise me.
But only in the corners. Obviously in the straights, the Senna just walked away, but in the corners, this was with it the whole way. And it has a lot less aero, obviously it just goes down to weight and being
centre of gravity as
a much smaller car.
Although the Senna is very good on both of those fronts.
Yes, but again, it's a much bigger car. It's a lot more powerful, but the aero on it is again another level. But obviously 305 horsepower in the monos now, which is an upgrade from when they were new at 8,000 RPM. So it'll scream in your ear anyway, and just from a 2.5 litre Cosworth engine.
Yeah, sort of Ford.
Yeah, which I think is perfectly ample, and I've seen them go up the hill climb before, and it does look like they can get up there in a pretty swift time. I'm pretty sure they're also sub-minute like the likes of the old F1 cars and things like that.
Yeah.
So what was your car? Yours, I know, well, let me know and I'll get it up for you.
So the car that I would probably bring up most is the Caterham 620R. So I have seen one of these go up the hill, and what I realised was that rapid, very rapid. And I think Caterhams are they're built for it, aren't they?
They are built for this. Again, I watched a video the other day with Mr. JWW, and he said it's the fastest thing he's ever been in around the track, and he's been in a lot of things.
And I also love the fact that Caterham is another one where they haven't needlessly. I know obviously you don't like the styling of the Caterham.
I don't like the styling of a Caterham, I'll be honest there.
But they've never wavered, as in there's plenty of people who do, and they've never bothered to change that, as in. I don't know, it reminds you of times gone by in certain respects.
It does. Well, it's modelled off a Lotus 7, isn't it?
Yeah.
The original Lotus 7, obviously they designed it like that, and Caterham have kind of taken it on and just stuck with it.
Exactly.
Again, like you say, they've updated it, made it a lot more powerful, probably handle a lot better.
But it's simple in a lot of ways, though. There's no wings or aero.
It's actually more powerful than the mono, 311 brake horsepower from the 2-litre Ford Durotech engine. Which, that is insane in a car that small.
For anybody who's listening, I strongly recommend that you Google the sort of Goodwood video of the 620R, because there's an onboard film of someone taking it up the hill, and it looks like an absolute handful.
I'm going to say there's not much time in that where it's actually not like twisting the wheel, he's not fighting the back end from kicking out. Looks like an absolute handful,
yeah. So for me, if I was going to do a hill climb, that would definitely be my sort of go-to car to do that.
Well, that's, again, not a bad choice. I think they are pretty similar, but obviously the BAC, in many respects, is a lot more what you'd call modern.
Yes.
Technical-wise, it's probably leaps and bounds ahead.
Yeah.
But it's heavier-ish. Yeah. It's not as powerful. And, it's built for the track.
I would be very curious to see how they would measure up against each other on the hill.
Yes, I would. I think on a normal track, I think the BAC would win.
Yeah.
On a normal track, but this isn't a normal track, is it? It's a hill climb.
No.
The tarmac's not perfectly smooth like it is on most race tracks. It's got rivets, it's got cambers, it's got all sorts of things in it, which would probably affect the BAC more than it would the Caterham.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't have, it does obviously suspension setups is completely different, but it's like an open wheel on the Caterham, isn't it?
I'd say one of the other things that I'm particularly looking forward to with the Festival of Speed is I quite like all the old sort of racing and Formula One cars. So obviously you get a huge variety of old F1 cars that are coming along. So obviously in the podcast after we return, we'll cover some of the ones that I was able to see. I did hear you mention though a little bit earlier that the sort of the classic Braun F1 car from 2009.
Yes, David Coulthard is supposed to be taking that up the hill, so that will be interesting to see. Proper engine in it as well, none of this...
Well, Braun is an interesting one where I've always been fascinated by the 2009 season in general. It was when rule changes came in from 2008. Obviously, wings were everywhere in 2008, and they decided to sort of regulate it in. This is when the boxy rear wings came in. Obviously, they're long gone now, but you'll remember a period between 2009 and 2016 where these boxy rear wings just seemed to... Obviously, they were in the cars. And this was where a lot of those styling cues were introduced. 2014, there was a change again where the noses were made lower and things were made narrower.
But I'm excited to see that. I love all the old F1 cars. I think it sounds so much better than the new ones. One for me, again, in the sort of the more classic side of it, none of the newer stuff that we're hoping to see. I always really like seeing, like as I've mentioned earlier, but the 250 GTO.
Indeed.
Absolutely stunning car. One of the best looking cars, I think, in my opinion.
Well, one of the things that obviously I'm hoping we can discuss a little bit further when we get back, because it's one of the things I'm really hoping to see, is the Aston Martin DBR1.
Oh, yes. It's just sold for like, was it last year? $22 million or something.
This stupid amount of money.
Yeah, absolutely insane.
That is one of the things. Obviously, it's Aston Martin's only outright Le Mans victory from 1959. Yeah. The car raced over multiple years sort of before that. But yeah, that's something I really would like to see, because it's in my list of things I've not seen that I want to.
In all honesty, it will probably have one there.
We'd hope.
I would hope. They have everything. Also, just to probably mention as well, Bentley are celebrating their 100th anniversary again this year. We'll see them twice, but they are doing a big event at Festival of Speed.
Yeah.
So I suspect you'll get to see one of them. I know which is your favourites, is the Bentley Blower.
Yeah.
Which I love them. I think I don't know how on earth they make cars like that go so fast and race. It just blows my mind.
Yeah. So I think that pretty much covers what we want to look for, isn't it?
Yeah, so that in a nutshell is what we are looking forward to at this year's Festival of Speed. Obviously, we'll have a catch-up when we come back, and then we'll discuss some of the things we did get to see or potentially we didn't get to see if they don't turn up.
Yep.
But yeah, we'll go from there. So if you want to see anything or you want us to cover anything that you know is going to the Festival of Speed, hit us up obviously on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, you name it. All the links are in the description below. And we'll see you next week after the Festival of Speed.
Thanks, guys. See you later.
Cheers. See you later.